Are you familiar with the concept of Rocco's basilisk?
Gesundheit.
Rocco's backlist?
You know, like a big snake, like the big snake in Harry
Yeah.
Potter, a basilisk?
Yeah.
It's a thought experiment that goes something like this. At some point in the far future, there is a super intelligent, benevolent AI that is basically taking care of humanity, that's made sure that humanity survives. And the idea is that the AI is always on watch for people in the past who are trying to stop it from coming into existence. So the basilisk occasionally jumps back into the past and does terrible things or destroys people. It could kill them, or it could destroy their businesses, their personal lives, and things like this, to basically stop them from their work to prevent the AI from coming into existence. So like, it's this thought experiment about this far future super intelligent AI that knows it must come into existence and again, it's mostly benevolent because its purpose is to make sure that humanity survives. And to do that, it's going to pick off people that are in its way. And so this is one of the reasons you have to be nice to the AI, because it has to believe that you want it to come into existence.
Welcome to #trending Project Synapse. And if this AI is so good, can I have it go back and have me buy Apple stock?
I don't think it works that way. I think it's entirely on the premise of the whole of humanity. You are dust in the wind.
Let me check the schedule here. I think so. So we're all charged with going through and finding a way to get started.
Jim, I actually did have a question, though.
What?
Is this the real Marcel, or is this AI Marcel today?
Keep them guessing with oil of Olay.
Yeah.
Now that he doesn't do the Max Headroom thing. It's
Oil
just
of AI.
Max Headroom.
It used to be easier when he'd go off every once in a while, but now
Pop. That was a boring
with the new
gap.
Sora, who can tell? Yeah.
Okay, do you want to just deal with Sora 2 right now and just get it out of the way?
Just get it right on the table. We'll get
Get her done.
We'll deal with it.
So, did you ever manage to sign up?
Yeah, I've signed up, and I can go in and actually watch videos. I have not figured out how to actually try to do anything with it.
Oh, dude, it is so much fun.
Yeah, I created one, but I get bored. Then I just go watch yours.
Yeah, I can get bored. This is like so much fun. Like, it is a blast.
For anybody who's listening out there, Sora is now, it's what TikTok would be if you didn't have to bother creating videos. I want to say, I want a video of me talking to Jesus Christ. Not that anybody's ever done that, Marcel.
Yeah. I would I personally would never do that, obviously.
Yeah, no, but talking to famous people, you like, yeah. No, I watch your videos. Well,
I can share my screen. Like, the people who are obviously who aren't watching on YouTube are going to find this a little bit weird, but I'll try to describe what's happening. Sora was first released as an iPhone app, which I'm still pissed about. I just want to say that. I'm still pissed. Anyway, there should be an Android app as well. But what I did was I borrowed my son's iPad, and I was given an invite code because it is invitation only at the moment.
Yep.
And if you think about it, it's kind of like TikTok, where you watch these little videos and you just keep swiping them up, and you can like videos and you can leave comments and so forth. So what OpenAI decided to do was create effectively a social network built around their new Sora incarnation. Now, they took a lot of flack for Sora. I mean, when Sora came out at first, it was, oh, this is really cool. There were some demonstration videos that looked amazing. And then it quickly fell way below what anybody else was doing, and it stopped being interesting. And almost a year passed without anything happening in the Sora world. And then they decided to release Sora 2 as effectively a TikTok, so to speak. Now, the way that it works is you invite friends, because at the moment it's invitation only. So you will get a few codes when you sign up. Everybody, I think, gets 4 codes. And you invite people, and then they come in, and then they have codes. So you guys, if you haven't invited anybody, you should use those codes to invite people. Then you create videos, which people then can swipe through and like and stuff like that. But what makes Sora 2 really cool is this concept of cameos, is what they call them. So what you do is, using your iPhone or someday your Android device, you will use the camera. And what it will do is you'll record this thing, and it's a very short process. So you look at the camera, and it will tell you to read 3 numbers that are on the screen. So you read the 3 numbers, it'll tell you to look right, look left, maybe look up, maybe look down or something like that. You just follow the instructions. The whole process takes like 15 seconds. which is really amazing because they get your voice. So they clone your voice by you reading 3 numbers. Now, once you have these cameos, you have a couple of choices. You can share your cameo with the world, okay, in which case people can make videos with your likeness in their videos. And last night, there's a little video clip that I did. I'll go to mine here. And I did one where...
Marcel? Always. Let's see what you got.
But what I did is I included Sam Altman in one of my videos because he made his likeness, or his cameo as it's called, publicly available so that everybody could actually use it and make videos with it. And of course, there's a gazillion videos of Sam that are sitting out there at the moment. You can make videos with anything that you want, but if you don't like the video that somebody made of you, you can cancel it effectively. You do not have to let, something that you don't like, that you feel uncomfortable with or whatever. So you can just say, if somebody's, a friend, like, a follower, and I follow them, then they're a mutual. That's what they call it, a mutual. So mutuals can include you in a video. Or finally, the third option is I approve every single request that's out there to include me in a cameo. So effectively what you're doing is you're giving the world the right, or individuals, if you want, the right to effectively create deep fakes of you.
What could go wrong with that? You've got a whole pile of different videos on it. Are you watching this on a tablet?
I'm not actually. I'm doing this once you've actually signed up using an Apple device. You can just use the web interface. And frankly, I find it a hell of a lot easier to use the web interface.
I skipped the app and went straight to the web interface myself.
Yeah, you have to use the app to make the cameo, though. If you want to make the cameo to create videos of yourself, you must use the app. You only need to do it once the first time. Oh, by the way, if you don't like the way a cameo turned out, you can do it again. So you can actually take cameos as time goes on and replace the version with something else that you want. At the moment, I believe it just replaces the version. It doesn't give you another one.
So you just did a facial shot of yourself, because that's all I did was turn your head and cough. Yeah. No, that's the doctor. Sorry. I just did the facial things, and it's giving you it's put you in remarkably good shape, Marcel, I must say.
Okay. So I confess that on a couple of them. There's one here where I prompted it, and I'll put it up here.
I sometimes worry if I don't keep up, I'll turn into a dinosaur. Sorry, dude. No offense.
Wow, you're well
there when I did. Yeah, thank you.
So have you done anything else all week, Marcel?
I have. I mean, I just every once in a while I'm sitting like I'll be watching my son, outside, and I mean I'm just sitting there. So I'll make a video. I'll have some weird idea in my brain. I had one where I was going through a maze trying to get out of this giant maze, and everywhere I turned, there's nothing there. I'm just trapped. And finally, I see myself just sort of sitting there in lotus position, meditating, and it's like, oh my God, it's me. And I did another one where a velociraptor dressed up in a Shakespearean outfit is seeing the asteroid coming back, and the velociraptor says, to be or not to be, that is the question. The answer is to not to be, because it's going to happen. And then there's one where I'm sitting with Jesus, and, Jesus says,
that was the one I saw.
I can't believe they made a Jesus chat app. And I said, amazing, isn't it? And Jesus says, amazing, isn't it? It's just something silly. And then there's another one where I've got 4 Sims sitting around. I'm one of the Sims. And I said, this may seem random, but, and they're talking about this new park that's been open and how we should all go there this afternoon. And I said, this may seem random, but how do we know we're not living in a simulation? And then, of course, it goes save complete and the whole world dissolves. And it's amazing, incredible fun.
That's one I know. I don't know how this works, because as I've said this week, what do we need TikTok for? And I'm serious about it. Like, why would I bother go shoot a video and because they're pretty lame anyway, like these short little videos. Why wouldn't I just do a Sora video and have done with it?
I was going through Sora this morning and flipping through a bunch of videos and saw 18 million versions of Martin Luther King. I was looking at it going, did I all of a sudden flip over to TikTok? Because like the layout looks almost identical.
It does, but first of all, there's going to be a lot of crap. And I mean, you can call this one AI slop if you want.
Oh, and there's my comment.
Yeah, precisely. As weird as it sounds, I think that this is a step above anything that's happening in something like TikTok. First of all, there's already 1 million freaking downloads. 1 million people have signed up for this already on Apple. And of course, there are people like me who aren't using Apple, who got an invite code, borrowed an Apple device and got themselves on and started doing stuff. And what I think is really, really cool about this, yes, there are people just, first of all, you can remix as well. That's another thing that you can do. If you like somebody's video and you want to make a variation on that video, there are 3 little buttons up at the top of the videos, and then you can remix that video into essentially the same idea, but, a little change here and there. There's one where a cop pulls over a car and there's a dog driving, and then somebody remixed it and it's a badger driving, and somebody remixed it and it's a banana driving. And it's just the same damn video over and over again. But there's some really honest to God, creative, beautiful stuff that people have come up with. And I think if people start thinking of it as a storytelling platform, I think it will go well beyond just, first of all, there's a lot of just mindless crap out there, but there are some things that people have done that are downright creative. They've actually imagined a scene in their head, and they've imagined, in the 10 seconds that you've got, a little tiny story to tell. Like the one with Jesus, like I saw an app on the App Store, and it was Talk to Jesus. It was basically a ChatGPT behind it, creating a persona, and you could talk to Jesus, and he answers your question and quotes Bible verses. And just for fun, I actually downloaded it and I installed it, and I told it that I wanted to make a balsamic vinaigrette and could it give me the ingredients for it. And then, of course, it immediately switched into ChatGPT mode. And
okay, we'll go there in a second. But let's stick with this idea of
shared creativity.
I kept getting your videos. Now, either because there's 1 million, and I want to stress this with everybody listening, this went to 1 million users faster than ChatGPT, which had the record already, substantially better than anything else in history. And it did it on an invite basis. Like I had to get the code from Marcel because obviously Marcel is supporting ChatGPT and AI industry. So he gets the codes right away. The only thing I've ever beat you to in getting Perplexity, I pulled reporter card and said, I had this podcast. Got to get a copy through the prep. Yeah. I got a scoop for you, boss. I was picking up all your videos. Now, if they start to build this sort of relationships where I can choose who I see and that sort of thing, I think you do have a TikTok challenger here, especially now that it's owned by a bunch of old farts, including Larry Ellison, who wants to have, I can't believe kids are going to stay with TikTok if they actually figure out that the guy who owns it is the guy who proposed that we should be able to monitor everything you do just to keep you in line.
Yeah.
If there's no teen rebellion in this world left, then I give up. But I can't believe that once those guys start controlling it, that people won't be flocking from TikTok. I think they already are into some other apps, but this would be perfect.
So I think one of the things, at the top, sorry, John, I'll just answer this question quickly. At the top of your feed, Jim and John, you'll see a little drop down and it says, for you. For you favors the people you're following. It is actually thinking in terms of what you like and who you're following. You will tend to see more of the people you're following. If you drop it down or search for something, then you can see other people's posts as well. There is a way to see other things, and the drop down says for you, following, which means you only see the people you're following. So you won't see a mix of, everybody else. You'll just see the ones you're following. And then top, and then finally latest. And latest is like setting your sort to new on Reddit. It hasn't had the time to be filtered yet in any way. But so you do have the option to tailor your feed to see what you want to see. So you're not stuck with this one feed the way that TikTok does. You can actually say, let's see what my friends are doing, and then go with that.
No, Marcel, you talked about some of the dog, and then it would be a different dog driving the car. I saw one this morning that was actually a giraffe driving the car. And I mean, let's face it, the quality is crap. But I think, to me, it's a tool, and the more creative the person using the tool is, the better the videos are going to be.
Yes.
So it would be like me trying to paint a picture versus my brother-in-law who's an artist. That it's going to be dramatically different. I think it's going to improve so that anybody can create real art. But right now, I think it requires some creative skills to be able to do that. I could
But
be wrong, but that's
if we treat it as a social media tool, the only thing I find is, and I've been wrong before, because remember, like Twitter used to be what? How many characters was Twitter? I can't remember. It wasn't very many. That's terrible. I should know that. But you would have just a limited number, and how anybody thought they could ever do anything, everybody had adapted to it. And now that it's 240 or something like that, I can't remember. But because I don't use X at all anymore at all, that period. But the whole point was we all got disciplined about being able to do incredibly creative things in a very short period of time. And the question from my mind will be, are they going to expand this beyond 10 seconds? If not, will the world adapt to a 10-second message? And based on history, the answer would be yes. So
I think people are going to learn to adapt to it, but I can also say, imagine how incredible it will be if it gives you the ability to create a 30-second or a 60-second video, that it'll just explode.
Yesterday on Dev Day, was it yesterday or the day before? It was the day before. Anyway, on Dev Day, OpenAI announced that Sora 2 was available through an API now. And this is interesting because it does a few things. First of all, you'll notice that when you look at these videos, there's this little watermark that dances around each of the videos to let you know that you're watching this AI-generated video. So you see that, but if you wanted to get the watermark off, of course, you can then put it through another AI and say, remove the watermark, blah, blah, blah. Or if you wanted to just use it outside the platform, you wanted to take advantage of the fact that Sora 2 has incredible prompt, like it has great prompt following. It speaks ridiculously well. It does really great with voices. It does really great with people's likenesses. If you wanted to use the fact that that technology is out there somewhere else, there are tools like HeyGen, which I showed off, was it last week or 2 weeks ago? HeyGen has Sora 2 available on the back end, and you can create videos that are 3 minutes long. So you can create 3-minute long videos using an avatar and the technology behind Sora 2. So Higgsfield does it as well. I believe that OpenArt and FreePic also have it available at this moment. I don't know how many of the other multimedia aggregator design type companies that offer you all these things under one roof. I don't know how many others have it, but the fact that you can now create videos using that tool and that technology, it's just not in the social media app at that point. But you can take advantage of that advanced technology to create like a user-generated advertising videos, for instance, UGC stuff. It's pretty damn impressive.
I'll have to play with it, but you're saying you can use, I know OpenAI made it available via the API, but if you can go to 3 minutes, now we're talking about a heavy creative tool that really blows the doors off everything else right now.
Yeah.
Without question. I want to go back to this idea of, can this be because this is, Sam Altman's world domination plans are showing. And,
Absolutely.
And it's this whole idea of, could I replace TikTok? I think they're trying to. And then can I build an operating system where, and going back to Dev Day, and by the way, Dev Day was Monday. This is how fast your week is moving. Yeah. But can I go back and can I now incorporate apps within OpenAI? I mean, I was supposed to, we all took a task away. We're going to go back and say how you got started with this. And then Dev Day happened and it was like, holy, like this just exploded again. And
I think we're down to a battle of two giants here. Like it seems weird, but everything that I'm watching seems to, like, I know that Claude released 4.5, blah, blah, blah. I know they did. And I know that it's impressive for coding, etc. Lovely, wonderful. But in the end, what are we watching? We're watching OpenAI and we're watching Google.
Yep.
That's it. That's what we're watching.
That's the thriller in Manila. That's the Duke amount. No, this is, this is, sorry, if anybody's not really old, just ask ChatGPT about that. It's quite interesting. But this is the battle. Don't rule Claude out. And the reason you don't rule Claude out is because they're quiet. They have 300,000 customers.
I know.
They just got Deloitte worldwide and
I know,
trying
but
to build a
yeah.
name for accuracy and trust in the business.
But it has 500 million weekly users. 500 million people use
It's
OpenAI right
800
now.
now.
800 now. 800 million.
Yeah, yeah.
We're creeping up on what?
No, this is what I mean by, I just got that from Sam Altman this morning and watching the Dev Day thing again. I'm going, what? Anyway, who
But I
knows?
think
It's hundreds and hundreds of millions.
I've talked to a bunch of people over the last couple of weeks about how they're using AI and what they're using it for. And invariably, anybody that talks about doing development talks about using Claude. I agree that I think you're going to end up with OpenAI and you're going to end up with Google as the two main players. And then you're going to have a bunch of niche apps like Claude that, and I agree with you, Jim. I like using Claude for certain things. I like using ChatGPT for certain things. But I think the Claude seems to be the big winner as far as developers.
You know what Claude is? Claude is Apple in 1992. And it used to, only now you're not a serious graphic artist. If you're a serious coder, you go to Claude because I'm a serious coder. I use Claude. Everybody else goes to OpenAI or to Gemini. But the reality is that what happened to Apple, and maybe there'll be a Steve Jobs moment in 15 years or 15 weeks, whatever it is in AI years. But until then, Altman, and I wouldn't count Google out. We have to talk about some stuff.
Google owns the vast majority of the web right now. Of course, you're not.
Yeah. And they have made it available. They've done some great things in integration. But going back to Altman, what they've done, this ability to build apps and agents within OpenAI, even at a level, and I'm going to do some stuff on the weekend because I haven't had time this week to play around. And that's the thing. You get guys my age who, I can't spend 8 hours anymore. I have other things to do with my time.
Well, you run through 3 podcasts, 4 podcasts.
I keep myself busy. I can't imagine most other people who are retired in my world could be sitting there creating all kinds of things. I'm working on a new book actually, and it's called A Company of One. And I took a break from fiction. I'm actually going to finish this book, A Company of One. I've given myself 6 weeks to do it. And to be like totally brutally honest about this, I'm working with a couple of professors, one from Waterloo and one from Humber. So we have some serious, thoughtful people behind it. But I've been talking to ChatGPT about the book. That's how I've been evolving it. And so I'm working on this book. I haven't had a lot of time to code. But one of the things in this book that I thought I wanted to create, I want to create the everything app for me. And because there's pieces that I can't automate yet. And that was, when I got to this idea of the company of one, I got to the point, you have to revamp everything you do. And just when I when I got out of the publishing company, I wasn't ready to quit, and I wanted to keep the publishing going. So I have built 2 podcasts into hits, and they are hits. We have tens of thousands of users, millions per year now, and a new website for news. And I admit I use everything I can. I use AI. I'm finally bringing on an assistant for a couple hours a day because there's just crap I don't want to do anymore. I don't want to post articles. I just don't want to do it. I don't want to go source the graphic to put on top of it. As BB King said, the thrill is gone, baby. I can get ChatGPT to give me the perfect graphic for something, and I can put that in the website, but I'm going to hire somebody to do that for a couple hours a day. But I won't hire somebody who won't use AI to do this. Why? Because I don't want to pay for them to take all day to do it. Sorry. So I'm getting all of that automated. But now I looked at it and said, you really have to rethink everything you do. You can't. And this is why we goes down to this idea of how we're going to become more productive. We're going to become more productive when we think differently about how we do things. Because right now we're in the augmented phase. And the augmented phase for me is a lot like, I remember you used to say this where we'd adopt some sort of methodology or something like that. And then you'd go, because I was big into development methodologies, we'd go to a client and they'd say, are you using our methodology? Say, well, we have our own version of it. And our own version of it means we're not really using it. We just picked up a couple of things and we're sort of playing with those. And now we're going to bitch at you about why we're not more productive. You're not more productive because you didn't rethink the entire process. That was the lights going on for me. The lights went on for me in the later part of my consulting career when I used to head a pretty big company. And then I went out on my own just because I was tired of corporate life. And I would go to bigger clients and I would say, look, I will solve a problem for you or 4 problems for you, because I always used to take 4. And I'd say, give me 4 of your toughest problems. I want your staff half a day. That's all I want. They can go back to their regular job. I want them for half a day, and we'll solve at least 2 of those problems. Did I win all the time? Nope. There were some times where we just the smell was so bad in the room, which is why I took 4, because out of the 4, we'd usually hit 2. This Inco sent me to some godforsaken place it was godforsaken. I loved it actually. Thompson, Manitoba. The people are incredible. It's really frickin' cold. Your tires freeze like that. And I thought they were punishing me for that. But so anyway, go out there. They haven't been able to pay an invoice. Their average payment for an invoice is like 95 days. Some of them are going to 190 days. They've had stuff they haven't paid for a year, and the local people won't work for them anymore. We brought their payment down to under 30 days for everything. We did that in 4 weeks. The bigger one, they couldn't close their books, and they were getting, because it's a public company, you have to actually close your books by the 5th working day of the month. They were in the 22nd day. New York headquarters were freaking out. Canadian company, New York headquarters. New York was freaking out about this, and they were in all kinds of trouble. We managed to bring them down to about 12 days in the first session, and after that, they did the rest on their own. What I'm saying is, when you get a group of people together who don't have to think the same way, you can do amazing things. That, I believe, is what our problem has been with AI, and I think we're about to solve that. And that's really cool. If we do that, because we went through this thing with MIT, the MIT report, only 5% of the of people are getting benefits. BS. I did 3 stories last week where people were talking about the amount of time they'd saved in marketing alone. The thing is, we're not reporting this, and that's the final piece. I'll get off my soapbox after this. But the idea is, if you can totally revamp your processes and use these tools to their fullest, you can save a hell of a lot of time.
Okay, so take a look in your chat. I will paste it there. And I pasted this in the Project Synapse Discord a couple of days ago, or maybe it was just yesterday. And Google released 1,000 businesses that are using AI in there. It's called 1001 AI use cases from Google Cloud customers. Real world Gen AI use cases from the world's leading organization. 1,001 of them, which they put on a website, which you can just take a look at. Like I said, I pasted it in the Discord. So, anybody who's listening or watching, go to our Discord and then you can download it or take a look through this thing. But it's pretty damn impressive to address your only 5%. Trial and error is a normal thing in business. And I guarantee you that 5% is actually probably a really good return rate on things that you try and things that are successful. So
yeah,
I wouldn't knock that one too much.
Okay, another good reason why people should go into the Discord as well. If you'd gone to our Discord, if you're listening out there, you too could have had your week wasted with Sora too, watching Marcel talk to deities. But you would have been in on the earliest piece of this. And I never replied to anything because I'm always too busy doing something. But I went and got my code from there. So if you're not in a Discord, get there, because you'll pick up all this cool stuff from Marcel, if nothing else. And anyway, now back to our regularly scheduled programming. Do we want to go back do we want to try to go back on point to OpenAI and what was our point forward this week? The point was,
okay. So,
Mr. Kata.
I don't know if you've tried this, okay? But one of the really cool things is this whole apps thing, okay? The ChatGPT apps, just to sort of put a little bit of an extra bit on here, they are creating native hooks into a lot of popular applications like DoorDash and Spotify and Shopify, like people who are running online stores, Expedia, if you wanted to book a trip, OpenTable, things like this. And what you can do, the idea is that when you're inside ChatGPT asking questions, you can reference these things. And of course, I had not logged into, I don't use Spotify. Spotify isn't my thing, but let me just open the window very, very briefly here so that you can see what's happening there. I'll share my screen one more time. I tend to use Google Music. So I've got a YouTube Music. I've got the YouTube Premium stuff. So I use YouTube Music. What you can do is you can reference Spotify. And then you can say, in this case, I said, I want you to create a playlist for Venus, the goddess of love, or any other historical incarnations of the goddess of love are mentioned or is the subject of the song. And I want you to populate my Shopify playlist with this stuff. And of course, it just creates 12 songs for a playlist. Would you like me to build and save this playlist? So at this point, I would just say, yes, please. And it goes off and it creates this playlist and then it inserts it into my Spotify. And if you watch the screen there, see, it just created the playlist and populated it. And now it's available inside my Spotify premium account. So this is the sort of thing that you can do with it. The idea is that it actually goes out and it interacts with the website the way that you would. So you can think of it as an agent, but it's more of a hook that actually knows how to use a commercial entity, whether it's a Shopify store or whether it's Expedia or something like that. And what's really, really cool about this is then you can follow up with questions. You can say, oh, I'd like to add this, or I'd like to do that. And you can see at the bottom, it says, blending mythological references with love's romantic tracks like Bjork's Venus is a Boy and stuff like this. In other words, I can insert some of these things. Would you like me to update the playlist? And something that you wouldn't be able to do if you actually just went to the site is be able to have this back and forth conversation with, in this case, Spotify. This is part of the world domination thing where not only, and I'm sure that John would love this because basically you're turning over your entire life and online experience to ChatGPT. They will own everything.
Well, there's that. Yeah. Besides
detail.
But let's go back to this. Now, I didn't do something with as many pragmatic results as you. I went to Canva. And I don't know if anybody follows our conversation, but we did this big thing when we were talking about how to use ChatGPT in your business. And one of the things that I pointed out, when you talk about doing things differently, my friend's got a restaurant. You want to have a special menu that week, 3 specials on it, or just that afternoon. You want to print them up, put them on the table. Now, you could spend all night with Canva and learn how to do all of this sort of stuff, print them up, get them done on your printer, your whole evening shot, and we bring them into the next day and you go, shit, I spelled the name of the hotel wrong. And then you go back and you work for another hour and a half and you get them somehow printed on your color printer and bring them in. Or you could go into ChatGPT, as I did, and say, prepare this for me. And then I got to this barrier, which is a classic barrier, where we took it to so far, and then I can't do any more with it. Why? There's just a limit to how much conversation you can achieve. So this morning, when I was getting ready for the show, I had to do the menu again. Type. Took me, I don't know, minute and a half, put the whole menu together. It popped four menus up on my screen saying, which one do you like? And then I said, well, link with Canva and make these up for me. It does. It gives me the samples. Now you get to that last yard and conversationally, I couldn't figure out how to do it. I'll go back. I probably could get something together. If I'm taking more than 15 minutes to learn something, I might actually be able to find some ways around things. I could go to Canva, but I don't know how to use Canva. I started to learn it. I hate it. I don't want to use it. And then it says, well, go ahead. I'll walk you through it step by step. So, which is how I do everything now. Like why bother spending 3 hours trying to master something when I could open one browser with ChatGPT and say, I'm using this new program. Can you walk me through how to do this? And it will, and I swear, the problem I always have with any online instructions is they're never right. So you get these things that Google's famous for this. Just go to here and find this thing on the screen. It's nowhere to be found.
Yeah.
And now, at least I get there quickly, and I can at least ask somebody, something, whatever, to say, is there another way to do this? Because it's not working this way. And is it perfect? No, because the problem is that people don't update the instructions. But we're going to get to the point where it's integrated with the app, like it is with Canva. And I guess it's reading Canva's help text. I don't know, but it knows how to operate it. And that, even for that last yard, that last few things that you get to, we always get to that point where I can do a lot with a tool and then I get stalled because I can't do the last thing I need, which is, and it was, I needed to put a banner on this thing in a new way and I wanted to change the look of it. Well, it taught me how to do that in Canva. 15 minutes. Like I still keep asking myself, how are you not saving time?
It almost eliminates that whole old style way of, oh, I want to learn how to use Canva, so I've got to go on to YouTube or somewhere and watch a bunch of training videos to figure out how to do this. That if you can do it and ChatGPT will walk you through how to do it, it's an online manual kind of, or an interactive manual, I guess I should call it.
It's like having your own coach sitting there in the background. And this is what I'm getting at in terms of, we keep coming back to it. Well, you're going to pass all your data into it. It's going to make mistakes. And I'm focusing on the stuff it does well. If it makes a mistake in how I put the banner in Canva, well, big effing deal. I'll ask it again, or if it gets stalled, and it does, I don't know, you guys must have hit this. You'll be going, well, I know you have in development, Marcel, where you'll be doing something and it makes a mistake and it just can't get past it.
One of the reasons why I'm not all in on Claude. I like, first of all, I'll finish this thought. The reason that I'm not all in on that is I do find that Claude occasionally, well, all too occasionally in my experience, will get into this loop of, I just keep rewriting this code. I just keep rewriting this code. At some point, it's like, no, you just don't get it. And I know that this is one of those things where a different set of eyes helps. But lately, when I'm working in Cursor, I've been using GPT-5 or GPT-5 Codex. And to be honest, I've been happier with the results. Like, I'm not, again, we're in a leapfrog game, John has often put it that way. It's like, you're playing leapfrog. You're just going, it's this week, it's this one, next week, it's that one. And I recognize that, I accept that. But I have found lately that I am getting better results going with something like GPT-5.
Well, it was the idea of sometimes Claude gets stalled, and it does.
Sorry. My little aside was this. Sorry. Now I remember. Just for fun, do you know who Claude is named after? Anthropic AI.
I do this morning. I do because I read
Marcel.
Was that in our Discord? I never remember where I read things.
It's in our Discord.
Marcel's latest wisdom.
I was actually really genuinely curious. Somebody had
I missed it.
That it was the Emperor Claudius. It turns out that that's bullshit. Anyway, the Anthropic's Claude or Claude is named after the legendary mathematician Claude Shannon, often called the father of information theory. His groundbreaking work in the mid-20th century pretty much laid the mathematical and logical groundwork for all digital communications and computing. And yes, that includes the AIs we're using today. You know how we call the fundamental chunk of data a bit? He's the guy that came up with that. Fun fact.
We call you Claude, eh?
Yeah,
that's Canadian.
No,
sorry.
No, but yeah, exactly. But he's from Michigan. So he's actually born in Michigan. And I watched several videos with him, and he's always called Claude Shannon. They always refer to him as Claude.
So what you're saying is he got his name wrong.
Awful thing that they did in the U.S., the part of the U.S. where French people moved down there. It's the same thing. You'll find, you'll find people with these names, and you'll go to the Rideau Tavern, but it's the Ride Out.
So I'm torn.
And you find him in the foyer.
I'm torn. On one hand, I hate the sound of Claude. Claude sounds like something that you're trying to scrape off your shoe. It's what it sounds like to me. But on the other hand, it's like, well, if I'm trying to be respectful of the origins of where the name came from, I have this internal battle going on in my head. Anyway,
I'm being respectful in the same way as my fellow in Louisiana would do. I'm trying to be respectful to the origination of this person, which inevitably came out of Canadian francophones. Inevitably. This guy's family came from Canada. Yes, vive le Canada. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. No, I didn't. So I'm sticking with Claude. I'm
all right.
I'm with you.
We can move on.
Yeah.
Sorry, John, you were going to say something, and
Oh, I've forgotten now.
okay. We have.
that was weeks ago now.
This is last episode.
At some point we're going to have to do this. The simple thing, how you get this stuff. But I'm going to show my screen.
I wanted to put an outline to this together and say, if you're not using ChatGPT all the time, or maybe you are, maybe you just call on it occasionally, you do a few things. What should you be looking for and what should you be doing? And we spent a fair bit amount of time on Sora, but I think the idea of graphics and video don't dismiss that. It's going to be an interesting part. But just for your daily working life, go on in the morning and you'll find out that you can ask ChatGPT to put together your schedule from what it knows about you. You can get it to plan your day. You can ask it questions because it remembers every encounter it has with you. It has now assembled a whole pile of things it knows about me. You can easily integrate it today with your email and with your calendar if you like. I tend to use Gemini more for that sort of thing because it's already plugged in. But you can go in and ask it to check your email or check your calendar and do all of those sorts of things. I'd be a little cautious about that. And I'll talk about that because the whole idea of being able to spoof an AI with prompt injection is a really serious thing. So don't be doing this with your corporate email for sure. And if you are going to do this with an email and you want to play with it, my suggestion is set up a Gmail where you're never going to get any bank information. You're never going to get any other information. And you're going to store there for now to play with it. One day we'll get through the security. So
Yeah.
I just want to put that in as a security thing. Don't be putting this on your home email where your bank sends you if your bank sends you that code that they're going to give you so you can get back onto your bank. Don't be doing that.
I love the idea of some of these integrations and so on, but I'm with you, Jim, that I'd love to be able to go summarize my emails. What emails did I get today? What do I need to focus on? But I'm not tying ChatGPT or Gemini or any of those into my email, either personal or work at this point.
Not yet. We'll get there. But
Yes.
but you can tie it into a whole pile of other things.
Yep.
Shared documents, things like that. So you can put it into your documents, but you can talk about those. But I can now get it to plan my day. And most importantly, is to start a conversation with it. Because you can work your way through. Let the AI teach you how to use the AI. So here's a couple of things that I've used. Learning, get it to teach you anything. And now some of these integrations, like I said, integration with Canva, I forget, there's a number of things. Spotify, you did a cool Spotify thing, but being able to integrate with apps and be able to walk you through, the integration with Canva is actually pretty good because it solves that last mile problem that I have for graphics because I just refuse to learn how to use these things. And so now you can do that. But the other pieces that I've found, I think this is probably the best way to proceed through this, is to do this conversationally, to start asking how you do things, what you do. And I've found it just amazing in terms of the things that I've been able to dip into and learn and the degree of accuracy that you can get from it. And
so I'm curious.
Hallucinating.
Curious about the two of you both. I'm the Android guy here, and you guys have both got iPhones. What do you guys use on your? Because most people, I would dare say, interact with their AI using a phone. Okay, so what do you guys do?
I use both. I will type on my computer, both work and home. I use my phone a lot Typically, though, one of the things that I've been doing a lot lately is that you guys have gotten me into conversational interaction with ChatGPT, and I use it as a companion while I'm driving to the cottage. That I'll have a conversation about life events with ChatGPT, but I'm also, and I've had a conversation with Jim about this, that I have thoughts about writing a book. And so I have been,
It's a trap.
yeah, I know. I've been conversing with ChatGPT on multiple occasions while I'm driving to talk about ideas for book content, book titles, all of these things, and kind of helping me to build out what the content would look like.
What app are you using to do this? What's your choice there? ChatGPT. Do you have other apps other than ChatGPT on your phone?
I do. I have Gemini, I have Claude GPT, I have Microsoft 365 Copilot,
Ooh,
I
of
have
course you do,
Claude,
yes.
Gemini, I have DeepSeek, which I love, but I'm afraid to use it just because where the data is stored.
I get it.
I have Grok, but I don't use it. I have Perplexity. The two tools that I use the most are ChatGPT and Perplexity.
Which ones of these services do you pay for? Do you have a subscription to?
ChatGPT.
And what about, like you said, you had Copilot 365. Is that tied into your work account at all?
I have two. I have one that's tied into my work, which is on my work phone. And then I have, because it has to be tied in through through the enterprise. And then I have a standard Copilot license on my personal phone. And all of those, I will use them once in a blue moon just to do, I do comparisons, quite frankly. I do a lot of comparing. I'll ask the same thing to ChatGPT, Gemini, and Copilot and see what kind of responses I get. Theoretically, the output I get from ChatGPT and Copilot should be almost identical because they're both using ChatGPT. Sometimes they're close, sometimes they're completely different.
They're both using OpenAI, but not necessarily
Yes.
ChatGPT.
Yes, you're right.
What about you, Jim? What do you have on your phone?
Everything.
What do you use? What are your conversations?
I tend to use ChatGPT for conversations. And again, I love my Toyota, by the way. I love this car. I have lots of friends who have way more expensive cars, but I love this car. I hate its voice recognition system. Only thing about Toyota I hate is their voice recognition system. But now I have my iPhone and it's just plugged in and I use, believe it or not, Siri is much more effective than my Toyota system. But now ChatGPT can have a conversation while you're driving. I tend to use conversation when my wife's not around. My wife really hates this.
Oh, yeah.
She hates me talking to another woman. Although she talks to this Australian guy all the time on her maps. So that's another story. And it just annoys her. She knows it's not real. She gets that. She knows I'm not really creepy or anything like that.
Does she, Jim? Does she really?
Okay, well, maybe. Yeah. That is a really good question, John. But let's presume she does. She still hates it viscerally. But I just find it so much easier to just push a button and say, okay, I'm doing this. And I've told her my famous story, I'm fixing things. I'm in the kitchen and our lights start to flicker. And I do your usual thing. I check around because in the country, your lights flicker a lot. But the kitchen won't stop. So I go to another room and I test it, no flickering. What the hell's going on here? And I'm thinking, do I have a short in the system? Is it, should I turn off the kitchen breaker and call an electrician? And I thought, well, I'll just ask ChatGPT. The dimmers that you have when you have these new dimmable LEDs, the dimmers are really flaky, she says.
Yes.
Tiny window there.
Yep.
Yeah. Start there, because probably what's happened is a lot of these dimmer switches go on you. And I call it a she, but ChatGPT is a lot more articulate than I am. So I go and get a new dimmer switch, put it in. Bob's your uncle. I'm just saying that, and I've fixed this thing. This happens to me all the time. When I was still CIO of a company, our director of IT used to say for all his staff, if they hit a problem and they were having a problem, have you asked Dr. Google? And have you Googled it? Because you could find out a lot of things just by Googling them. It's just so much easier. And so I work conversationally through it, and that's been my whole thing. But now I'm starting to really work on things interactively, and you find it becomes sort of seamlessly part of your life. You load up a document, you ask its opinion of it, and I just find that I'm saving all kinds of time. And that's most of the stuff that I'm doing now with pictures, although I use Grok a lot because I love the creativity of its pictures, and it's still free. So I don't know if I'll pay Elon for it, but right now I can go in and get really great pictures. Although ChatGPT's come a long way really fast. And that's interesting. Like, it's caught up a lot. And so I'm using that for a lot of pictures. I still go to Gemini to edit though, because nobody's got that hold it in place, don't change anything but this in the same way that Gemini has.
Well, in the case of ChatGPT, you have to be very specific. But yes, the whole nano banana thing is very good. But you guys are making the point that Jim, you were asking about as far as how people use these things. And I think that the primary way to do this, we said this before. I mean, John, how much is like a basic pro Copilot subscription per month?
$42 Canadian. I think it's 30 US, which converts to 42 Canadian.
Wow. Okay. So ChatGPT, your basic ChatGPT subscription is $20 a month for the Plus subscription. It is $20. Yeah. Well, yeah, it's US. Yeah, of course. And of course, it's basically the same thing for Gemini, although Gemini, you can get Gemini rolled in to if you've got like Google One plans and so forth. Like we use Google One because it ties into Premium and a whole bunch of other things wrapped up in it.
I have Apple One storage. You should try that.
But the point I'm making though is that the entry point, I think, for everyone who's listening out there who wants to know where to start on this is ChatGPT. Okay. And John, you can tell me whether you think that it's worth them doing the Copilot thing, but I think ChatGPT or Gemini at this moment, I think are the conversational winners, for just having a conversation with it. And both of these allow you to download an app, and it doesn't matter whether you're using Android or an iPhone, you can use it free. And I believe the voice mode is free in all of them. There may be limits to how long you can talk. Both of them will also give you a scaled down version of their frontier model, of the highest end model. So that's a really good entry point. Doesn't cost you anything. If you find that this is something that you use on a regular basis, or you're using it so much that you are hitting limits of one form or another, then at that point, you're talking that $20 a month US to use these things. But I think to make it as simple as possible for people, I know there's more than two out there, okay? But the entry point, if you've never done this, if you're starting from scratch, the entry point should either be ChatGPT or Gemini. If you have an Android phone, Gemini is basically integrated.
And even if you've got a home setup, especially if you're going to go from Windows 10 to 11, we did a story on this. If you want to do a budget thing on this, I'd just go to most of the Google apps, Docs, spreadsheets, all of that stuff, embed it in a browser, do them anywhere, get a Google One account, and you get all of these tools with it. And they're integrated. And this is the first tipping point for me to say, because I don't use Microsoft Office anymore. I'm not going to pay them the money per month and all of that, and then have to pay for their stupid AI tool, which is the AI tool I'm already paying for. And so I've just made the full shift over to Google. I can use offline docs too. I can't understand why I would bother paying Microsoft. And this is probably why I don't get sponsorship from some companies.
I am planning on getting a Google One account, even though I am a Microsoft guy, but I am going to get a Google One account because of the fact that I love the integration. that's available within Google. Marcel, you'd asked or talked before about, why would somebody use Microsoft versus ChatGPT or whatever? To me, the big benefit for a Copilot license is the integration with the Microsoft suite. If you're using the Microsoft suite, Copilot's a good choice. I will say, though, it's not as feature-rich as a lot of the other players.
I find it clunky, even the stuff I've played with, but it may be better if you're paying full price. But if you have a small business, and this is what I talked about, this company of one.
Yep.
Now, I went out for my last company, and we actually went out and got somebody to get Google Office suites and tools and all that sort of stuff. I forget what they call it, because we had our own email run through there and all of that sort of stuff. And we went to a partner. When I started the company of one, I went and got a Google account. It cost me $25 a month. I have my own URL, have my own email, integrated with all the Google tools. And everything I'm getting now, I'm getting on this one account that I'm paying like $25 a month for our Google Pro accounts that we have. I'll never do that again. Even if I was a small business, because I can just add people to this one, and I don't need to pay anybody. I don't need anybody interfering with it. Really easy to set up. But again, I get all the latest Google tools now as part of that paid subscription. Matter of fact, I'm wondering about my other accounts that I've got and trying to consolidate those. That's actually going to become a problem for some people. Is how many accounts you get and whether I really need to be spending, because this is like the old cable days, right? 4 or 5 of these streaming things before you know it, you're spending $170 a month on it's stuff you don't watch. And so that's going to be a problem. But right now, if you're starting, like I said, I'm looking at this going, I can't imagine why anybody, especially since all of your Microsoft Office tools are coming off the web now too. So if anything shuts down on the web, you're done. So that's been this. I think we're gonna have to go on to Google next week. We shot a lot of time here.
Well, here's the thing. The people who are following Google out there, and I confess that I am one of them, were expecting Gemini 3 this week, which did not happen. There is a version of Gemini 3 on their developer platform. If you go to aistudio.google.com, there's a version that you can play with for coding or whatever. But the wish that everybody had that this would be the week that followed up on Dev Day and introduced Gemini 3 did not actually happen. So there were some changes. They did announce some things, and maybe we should do that. We should probably do that next week, because we're running out of time here. But the big news that the Google fan base was waiting for did not happen this week, and they had their own version of a Dev Day.
Maybe that's smart, because like I said, I think Claude made its announcement of getting the Deloitte account on OpenAI's Dev Day, and you got to ask yourself. I'll say this again: marketing people, get an AI and ask it whether this is a smart move. I'm always saying, if you've got older parents, get them ChatGPT, chat or whatever, teach them how to use it, just so they can ask one question. Is this a scam? And I'm serious about this. Like, just tell them, here's the smart brain there. If somebody phones you and asks you something, just go into ChatGPT and say, is this a scam? Or if you see something on your that somebody says to you, it's a great offer, ask ChatGPT, is this a scam? And I feel the same way about marketing people. We should all give them a copy. I don't care, Gemini, ChatGPT, maybe even Grok. I'm not sure. Just click it on and go, is this a really good idea for me to launch and make a big press release about our new big client, our biggest client ever, on the day that OpenAI does a Dev Day? I'm probably sure it's going to say
no. So my closing piece of advice would be something similar to what I told my son very early on when we were walking to school. When he was much younger and I was walking to school with him. And the thing I told him was, assume everyone in a car is an idiot. I'm not saying they are, but assume they're all idiots. Assume they're going to do something stupid. And it's up to you to basically preserve yourself with that assumption. Again, I'm not saying they are, but on the other hand, assume, and I know this sounds really depressing, and I'm really sorry to anybody out there who's listening to this, who is, going to say that their faith in humanity has been shattered here, but assume every email that you get, every text message that you get, that you don't know for 100% where it's coming from. And even if you do know for 100%, assume it's a scam. Assume that somebody is trying to take you for a ride, and then you will be much happier in life at that point. Always question. Don't do it after the fact. Question up front.
I had a phone call. Actually, I've had 3 phone calls from the same number claiming to be Rogers to tell me that my home internet and cable is coming due and would I like to talk about options for renewal. And the first thing that came to my mind is this is a scam. Number one, when the hell has Rogers ever called you to try to save you money? But I ended up saying, give me a number that I can call back that is a Rogers number and tell me what your extension is. And I actually called her back that way. Because,
or better still, go onto the internet, look at the Rogers site, get the number, and ask for them.
Yes.
And if they can't figure that out, then don't buy anything from. No, this is absolutely true. We've introduced zero trust, which, by the way, I'll tap this together because I always do these things about. I did this great story about lawyers and how they're always getting nailed, and every day there's a new story about a lawyer that gets nailed because they've got precedents that ChatGPT made up. And I can't figure it out because I've been doing stuff on ChatGPT every day for months and months and months, and I don't get the number of hallucinations they do. However, and I'm sure I'll get fooled at one time. Maybe I'll even do the wrong story, because I'll do my research on it. Who doesn't check stuff? And so that's one of the things that I'll give my commercial to Comet, the Comet browser. It's actually a perfect way to do this. I have the Comet browser open. Everything I get out of ChatGPT, I ask Perplexity, is this correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
The other thing that you can do is, like, you know how you personalize ChatGPT is just say, please verify your answers before, or confirm your answers before, or getting back to me.
Yeah, I do. I do all the time. I say double check and all this stuff. I do all of that, but I still, it belt suspenders. You know, you do that. Anyway, so we don't have to double check this. Have a fantastic Thanksgiving. Live long and prosper.
Live long and prosper.
Live long and prosper.
Everyone.
Yep. And happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Canadian Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Have a good one, guys. We'll talk to you later.
Don't care. Bye now.